If we weren't sisters, do you think we'd be friends?
Definitely now. Maybe not in the early years.
Even though our personalities and our lifestyles have gone different directions, I need you more now than ever before. Lauren is deeply religious, runs a Beis Yaakov, has 8 kids, and then there's me. We shared a room till the day Lauren got married.
That is true.
No, I'm not exaggerating. The night before her wedding, Lauren and I were still in the same bedroom. As life gets harder, you need to lean on people you can trust. And I think both of us have been burned by people. Ultimately, family is the most important thing. At least for me, when I'm navigating the relationship with you, nothing is off limits. Today's episode is a personal one and a little different than what we're used to in Tribe and Tribulations. I'm sitting down with my sister, Lauren, my best friend, my confidant, and also someone who lives life a little differently than I do. We were raised in the same house by the same parents with the same values, and somehow we ended up completely different. Lauren is deeply religious, runs a Beis Yaakov, has 8 kids, 7 girls, 1 boy, and is one of the most disciplined and structured people I know. And then there's me. But what's really interesting about us is that even though we're different, it's that as time went on, we've gotten closer. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're raising kids and being in relationships and realizing how much we actually need each other. So welcome Lauren Feinberg to Tribe and Tribulations. I'm so excited. Guys, I'm so excited to have my sister here because you get to see a different side of me, and like only she knows who I am and what I've been through, which is kind of why I'm a little nervous, but please don't rat out all my secrets, okay?
Definitely not.
Okay, fine. You and I were raised in the same home, but we probably weren't actually raised in the same home, if I'm being honest, because you and I are a few years apart. We're 4.5 years, but 5 grades. And I know that like sounds like, why am I making that distinction? But Lauren was out of the house by the time I was in 7th grade.
Right.
So there is a lot of growth that happens between then, and different stages of life really matter with how you connect to somebody. What do you remember most about how we were raised?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think one kind of mantra that mom always said was that your sisters and your best friend. Your sister is your best friend. So, and I think growing up, having such a discrepancy with our ages and our stages, that was such a foreign concept. Although she said it so often,
Literally every day.
and it was drilled into our minds, it was hard to really believe that it would ever become true. And however, as time went on, we eventually caught up to each other because the age gap narrows as we grew up. And it's true, once I had children, Julia was always there. You were always there for me, and like coming over. You were in college and I was married and having kids, and it was very overwhelming. Also because it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
And we're 4.5 years apart. I never grew up in a house as the eldest of many young children. And it was very overwhelming for me becoming a mother for the first time. And not only to 1 baby, but to 2 babies.
Twin babies.
Twin babies. And Julia was my second pair of hands. Do I say Julia or do I say you?
Either one is fine.
Okay. You. And you were my second pair of hands so often between classes, on over the weekends. You always came over and you helped me and you spent time with the girls, and it was so comforting to have you there. And I think it's true. Like there was a turning point in our relationship, probably starting with your attending college and in New York and living nearby, and then just being there all the time for me, that made us feel so much closer.
I think also for me, at least, like we were also raised differently. You're the oldest and I'm the baby. And I think the rules were different for the two of us. And you were the trial child But not really, because I actually think there was more attention on you. Like you had our grandmother like help raise you, and my mother was like working and figuring things out, and my parents started working actually for themselves as I was growing up.
Mhm.
So do you think that we were raised similarly, or do you think we had very different childhoods?
I think actually we were raised rather similarly because of the spread, because of the gap
Hmm.
between us. There was time to focus on me, and then there were times to focus on you as our, let's say, as like only children.
Yeah. I feel like we were raised more as only children than older and younger.
Yeah. Um, like mom and dad definitely had time to focus on me. I was the first child and they set up the rules, and I'm definitely like the first child in the stereotypical way. Like I take a lot of responsibility. I think my way is the highway. I know what's best for everyone. Like,
And sometimes she's right.
yeah, right. So I'm very assertive in that way, not like in my personality, but just in the family and making sure that things get done.
Hmm.
Um, And then also, mom and dad were very much like first time parents, which we all experience at one point in our lives.
Hmm.
But so, not to say anything negative about that, but only to say that, they had a lot of focus on me and setting up certain rules and expectations and curfews, which I did not appreciate at the time. Um, and and then like once I graduated high school and moved out of the house, then the attention was solely focused on you. So then you had that experience as an only child. There wasn't the diversion, the distraction of many young children like running around and needing attention from the parents. So I kind of think that we had similar experiences,
I hear
for
that.
better or for worse.
It's interesting because we had also different challenges growing up, meaning like Lauren didn't like the curfew aspect and didn't like the rules, even though she was like very structured. And I did not care about the rules. I was struggling more with like academics and sort of figuring out my own path. So my parents were like, coming from a child who excelled academically and was like very rigid and structured and whatever. And then I literally was spinning their heads around in regards to school and figuring out like who I want to be and what's my focus. And they had, while they raised us similarly, I actually think they had a lot of different challenges between the two of us because it wasn't like raising the same kid at all. And I think now that we're parents, we can really, at least I can really understand that every child is very different personalities,
Yeah.
very different needs, and it creates its own set of fun exchanges.
Yeah, I think birth order and I think personality and I think family dynamics and the parents' personalities are all the variables that affect the outcome of a
Hmm.
child, of a person in development. And um, you know, some just as like, you pick your friends and some personalities click better with others. So, some parents have a more natural time raising certain personalities that are
Hmm.
bestowed upon them. Um, each child, even if they have the best personality, has their own set of challenges, has his or her own set of challenges. And I think it's, up to the parents to have to work through it, and how they navigate it really does make an impression on that child. So you have to get your stuff together. It's really intense.
It's so hard. I think parenting is really hard. And now looking back, I can really like appreciate mom and dad and go, ooh, they had a lot of work cut out for them, and
Hmm.
we made them earn that title for
Right,
sure.
right.
You were always more type A, and I was like more type B, C, D, E, F, G.
Hmm.
And do you think that your discipline and structure also helped with how you grew up and created the person you are now?
Yes, definitely. I think that I have natural tendencies, even just getting here today. Like I'm focused on making sure that everything looks right and I don't leave like a tornado behind me as I'm getting ready. Like I want to leave things like just right so when I come back, it's not overwhelming. I
Hmm.
need my spaces to be clean and I need my spaces to be ordered. But I think I've evolved a lot as a person through like in my type A-ness and it's dialed down a whole lot. And you know this.
Yes.
You know this a lot. That I think, first of all, marrying my husband, who is a whole different personality than I am, and knowing his like tendencies, in order to create and preserve a very happy and healthy relationship, you have to compromise. So in time, I've kind of like dialed down, like I said, my type A, so much so that I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore in some capacities. Like I used to always be on time, and now I'm like much more like fluid. And I think that, you know, for better or for worse, that's just the reality of where I'm at in this stage. And I give people a lot of grace because I pray and I hope that they'll be like generous in terms of their grace giving abilities to me. So, you know, I'm not as type A as I once was, but I still inside, like I need order and I need like space and I need privacy and I need some boundaries, and that's like never going to change.
No. It's funny because I think we flip-flopped a little bit because I am like punctual Penny.
Yes.
You cannot like I am 5 minutes early to everything because it's like really and I think one of our biggest points of contention as we got older was like, you need to be on time, Lauren, like hurry up, what's going on? But I actually think that now that I'm a mom of children that are multiple ages going in 15 different directions,
Yes.
I have toned down that aspect of like needing everyone to be where they need to be on time because things come up all the time.
Exactly. It's impossible.
And I'm just like, okay, well, like you have to be on Lauren's standard time and like it's okay.
I'm perfectly comfortable with your telling me to be there a half an hour in advance of the time I'm actually should be there. That's a good strategy, and I'm owning it. In addition to the fact that I've also come to learn in my, I don't know, in my adulthood, in my adulthood, that you really can't judge a person until you walk in their shoes. Even if you think that you know, you really don't know. And so, you know, I think that place of like, Lauren, why aren't you on time or not showing up? And that was like a point of contention in our relationship for sure, even into adulthood initially, only really lasted for a finite period of time until you started having children and realizing that it is chaos.
Yeah.
And you just do your best to muddle through it.
Your survival. It's like literally survival mode at all times.
Like I would rather have like an hour more of rest than like show up on time because I'm barely operating on a full night's sleep anyways. So just to say, there's always like a cost benefit analysis of like how much do I really care? You know, or like how important is it in the scheme of things? Because really like I'm just trying to juggle. Not that you asked, but I'm going to volunteer this information. The former CEO of Pepsi was a woman for many years, and I don't recall her name now, but she had said something very profound that I felt like
Touched by?
I was touched, and I felt like it was a whole new paradigm to consider in terms of like how I operate my little organization, my household, basically. And that is, we always hear that like life is a balance, life is a balance, life is a balance. You know, like don't eat too much, don't eat too like
Little.
don't eat too little. It's like you have to balance, you have to find the balance, exercise and all the things. Okay, work hard, play hard. I don't know, but she was saying something totally different, but it's subtle, and that is that there's no such thing as a balance in life when you're a very busy woman or a very busy person, high powered, a lot's riding on you. Instead, it's a juggle. It's never a balance. You're juggling so many balls, and it's just a matter of like keeping them all in the air, but it's not necessarily balancing them.
Right.
And it's very different. Because a balance is more having like two things which are weighing on a scale like against each other.
Yeah.
A juggle is like having so many more things that you're trying to accomplish and just making sure they don't completely fall on the ground.
And also, I think that the juggling analogy is perfect because at certain points, certain things are higher up on your schedule and and level of importance to you than others. Like that is the circle that goes up and down. I want to talk a little bit about two things. We're a little different when it comes to hashkafa. And I think that for a lot of people, that would mean that you can't relate to each other, you don't connect, you don't respect each other's choices. And I think that that is so opposite. She's crying and so am I now.
I know, now it makes me cry. Why are you speaking so seriously? Like
It's just, For a lot of people, that's hard for them to connect because your lifestyles look really different. And I actually think that our dynamic has improved because my own relationship with Hashem has changed. And I could relate to you more because I understand how important it is to you. God, why am I crying?
Okay.
It's because you're looking at me and it's ridiculous.
Am I allowed to do this? Tissues?
No, I don't need. I'm okay. It like will dry up.
Okay.
What does being religious mean to you? Oh, she needs a tissue
I
now.
need tissues. Fine, forget it. Well, I also think that's like, you know, that answer evolves in time because people evolve in time. They grow, right? We're trying to grow. That's the whole point of this world, is to like try and work on ourselves. And I think there is so much work to be done for each individual. You really shouldn't spend any time looking at other people and what they're doing. So just like stay in your lane, people. Stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very good practice. I think it's harder answering this question as it relates to raising children, however. But in terms of your adult relationships, stay in your lane and focus on yourself and don't look at what other people are doing. There is way too much criticism and judgment of others, and we need to stop that completely. We have other people on the outside who are looking to us, who despise Jewish people and, you know, are looking to bring us down. So we should not add to that. We really shouldn't. So I've never felt any iota of judgment towards you, and like whatever you're doing, that's you. That's between you and Hashem. Like it's nothing to do with me. Like I've worked on my own relationship with Hashem. I remember when I was first married, I had a whole like hashkafa, like it's okay if I make a mistake because Hashem loves me. And my husband, who's like a very different personality, was like, okay, but there's also halacha. Like there's two sides to serving Hashem. There's like the side of serving Hashem through love, and then there's the other side of serving Hashem because you fear him as your father. So, you know, you have to have the yira, you have to have the fear, and you also have to have the love.
So it's interesting that you bring that up because I will say that through my own like religious journey, years ago I was like a snood wearing, externally religious, but internally kind of void. And I think that when I recalibrated and realized that you use the word yira as fear, but I use the word as awe, because I think the difference is important, because I can be in awe of Hashem and want to grow and improve, but just like you have that fear of a parent, of repercussions because they love you so much, that's how I look at Hashem. Like, I'm always trying to grow, I'm always trying to move forward, but if I have no real connection, if I'm just doing things because I'm doing them, yes, there is an aspect of fake it till you make it, and like you're supposed to do that, but maybe I'm not at that madrega yet. Maybe I'm not there, and I don't want to go 5 steps backwards because I'm so upset or empty. I want to be consistently moving forward. And I think that difference in the verbiage, I guess, here matters, because I want Yiddishkeit to be approachable for everyone. And I want Lauren's the goal, right? Lauren's lifestyle,
Hardly.
for me at least, like she lives authentically as herself and always has. Like, no matter where she was in life, she's always lived authentically as herself. And I think that that is one of the things I admire most about you, is because you never cared. You were like, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, I know I'm right, and la la la. And like, really, that's truly how you live your life. And like, I see it in like how you align religiously, because you're like, okay, well, Hashem says this and I'm going to follow him. And I'm like, Hashem says this, but the 20 million rabbeim with their comments also say X, Y, and Z. And like, I can't keep up with all that. Like, so I'm like, how does everyone feel and feel comfortable and connect in a way that's meaningful. And you're like, no, but Julia, like, we do this. And I'm like, no, but how do you feel? And you're like, and it just goes to show our different personalities to a T.
Like it doesn't matter how you feel. It's just this is what you have to do.
Exactly. But I think that there's a sense of respect there. Like you're like, no, this is how you do it, and this is whatever. But there's no judgment, which I think is also really important. I was watching a clip. I actually posted about it online today, and a woman came off very harsh online, and it was such a turnoff to me. I was like, that doesn't bring me like to want to be close. It makes me want to run away. And I think one of the things that you've navigated really well, and I admire, is even though you're like strict in halacha, you're warm in how you approach it. That you've always had this like an open table with every different person on the planet at your Shabbos table. And if you've lived on the Upper West Side, you have probably spent time at my sister's Shabbos table. She doesn't live there now, but back in the day, she really had 50 people at a meal, and from all walks of life. They could have been like Hasidish, they could have been not Jewish, they could have been Jewish. Like it didn't matter where you were on the spectrum, you were all welcome. And I actually think that mommy and daddy instilled that in us for sure, because we had strangers at our table all the time.
All the time.
The Westwood Kehila, shout out, which is where we grew up. They used to stand up at the end of shul each Shabbos and say, if anybody doesn't have a place for lunch, please come to me and we will find you a place to go. And I think that was really instilled in us from a young age, where it's like your table is always open to everyone. And I think that I've also taken that to heart, and I have what I like to call the revolving door. Like literally anybody is welcome. You can run in, you can run out. It doesn't make a difference if I'm in pajamas or if I'm surfing on tinfoil. God forbid, my sister would never, ever. So like, it's funny because like that also is such a discrepancy between us. Like I'm like, okay, let's just bust out the plates. Like the food is so good. And she's like, no, Julia, you need to plate it. You need to style it. And all your cutlery needs to be perfectly matched and assigned. And Lauren uses linen napkins. So I think that is like an important thing for me to add, because if you're spending time washing your napkins, like you're a certain level of fancy. What do you think people misunderstand about your life?
I don't know that anyone cares about my life enough to misunderstand it, to be honest. But I think in general, people are very like make assessments of people very quickly. So, that's why they say you can only make a first impression once. And you should be careful with how you present yourself. But at the same time, people should just be very open and understanding that like there's so many layers to each of us. So, you never really get the full picture, okay, unless you're a relative or a close sister.
Like not every relationship is the same, which leads me to my next conversation point. We weren't always this close. We weren't. We were in different phases of life. And I also think like in general, our heads were not in the relationship because we were focused on other things, I think. And whether that was us getting married or school or raising kids, all these things. And do you think that our dynamic has changed over time? And why do you think that is? I have my own answer, but I want to hear from you.
Well, our dynamic definitely changed over time. Like I remember distinctly a baseball bat incident. Like mom almost like turned the baseball bat on me, but I was like pointing it at you. You don't remember that?
No.
No. Okay. I was definitely like very aggressive with Julia, like admittedly, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
I really didn't like it. There was a big personality clash because we were sharing a room for the majority of our childhood.
Majority. we shared a room till the day Lauren got married.
That is true.
No, I'm not exaggerating. The night before her wedding, Lauren and I were still in the same bedroom. We didn't stay in a hotel. We stayed in
Our
our
house.
childhood bedroom. So,
Yep.
yes, we shared a room.
We shared a room. And so because our personalities are very different, and I'm, like one of order and Julia's more free-spirited, that led to a lot of arguments over time. So that was very stressful, but it was all superficial. Also, it was a little hard because I felt like I never had space and like enough space with my friends coming over and my sister and I sharing a room. And she was so much younger. You're being so much younger than I
I know I
am.
was like this annoying little sister, and I can acknowledge it now. I was like, oh, how annoying that like you were trying to talk about boys or whatever you were talking about.
Never talking about boys. What are you talking about?
Never. And I was like, what are you doing? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like knocking on the door, let me in.
Right. I was talking about school.
Always school.
Yeah.
Academics were very important to Lauren. Always.
Yes. Okay. Anyways, that being said, so that was hard growing up because I just felt like there was a lot of the personality clash in a tight space. No good. Doesn't make for close relationships. No.
What do they say? Good fences make good neighbors. I think the same thing with children. Like separate rooms make even better siblings.
Yeah, I would say, but look, not everyone has that luxury.
Right.
You know what I'm So that was tricky. Okay, and then growing up, our relationship evolved. I would say we've become so much closer. Even like maybe in the last like 15 years. Would you say?
I have been married 15 years, so I would say, yeah.
Okay, in the last 15 years since you've been married, yes, definitely. We've been closer. Again, after both of us having children, like that's definitely made for more understanding and like walking in each other's shoes. I don't know. I think, Julia, you have a very, very good way about you. You're very approachable and very open and fun, and you can laugh at yourself. And everybody wants to be around someone else that they feel good spending time with. And you're like that person. You just make every interaction and every like experience together feel very organic and just like not too serious and fun. And I think a lot of family relationships can be strained because there isn't that good grace that people have for each other. They're like more judgmental and they're like trying to one up each other. And I've seen that a few times and I find it quite sad. But you know what? You can't change other people. You can only change yourself, or you could say, you know what? No, thank you. Like I just rather keep an arm's length. And that's also perfectly respectable. I'm grateful, however, that because of your very easygoing nature and your understanding of others and just like probably the line of work that you do and seeing so much and helping others so much, you have like an outward desire to help. So that's like how you direct your interactions and like the way you schedule your day is very much other focused. Like what a good person to have in your inner circle. I mean, like how lucky am I? So I feel very fortunate in that way. And so I think both like your career and your like maturing and getting married, and me too. Like my personal experiences in adulthood have definitely made for us to have a much closer relationship.
I 1,000,000% agree, but I also think that I actually think we grew closer. As life gets harder, you need to lean on people you can trust. And I think both of us have been burned by people. And I think ultimately family is the most important thing. And at least for me, when I'm like navigating the relationship with you, nothing is off limits. Like I can share my innermost thoughts. You know me inside and out. And who I am outwardly is very different than who I am internally. And a lot of people don't realize that I'm extremely shy. And
That's the biggest joke in the world.
I know. You wouldn't think it, but
It's true.
Our parents put us in like acting classes forever. So I think like a little bit of that has rubbed off on how I can like turn it on and turn it off. But I think because you really understand the nuance and know who I am internally, it's made it a lot easier that I don't need to explain myself. You also know my heart and where I'm coming from, and we just want the best for each other. There is no competition. There is no like, I think with other people, with even with friends or whoever, and I love my friends, and I know you like you love your friends. You have a best friend who's like a sister. Shout out Dee Dee. And but I think that a lot of that is because I know that no matter what I say or what I do, actually, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we have each other's back. And I would go to the end of the earth to like be there for you and the kids and Danny and everyone around. But I mean, that is my personality type, but specifically to you. And I think as time has gone on, as I've gotten older, I need my sister more. I really need my sister more, even though like our personalities and our lifestyles are has actually like even more so gone different directions. I need you more now than ever before. Like, who am I calling 15 times a day? My kids always laugh. Oh, is that Auntie Lauren on the phone? I'm like, yes, it is. It's always Auntie Lauren on the phone because that's who I want to share my stuff with. Like, it's just, there is no baggage that's either too big or too small or that you can't carry for me or with me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. I feel very fortunate. And it's true. I'm just happy that mom's mantra is actually manifesting in reality. It's coming true. And I think, Mom, I hope you're really proud of us.
We've come a long way.
We've come
like
a very long
time.
From baseball bats to, you know, bedroom wake ups. I mean, just yesterday.
This is true.
We had such a funny incident. I thought Julia came into town and she called to say she was downstairs and I said, oh, come up, I'm in my bed. I just had the baby and, you know, I was getting ready and I was just getting ready in the sense that I was opening my eyes. And I thought my husband had left already for shul. And so Julia's sitting on my bed, she's talking to me and I'm still waking up. And all of a sudden my husband comes out of like another door. And he was like, hi, like, what's going on here?
And I froze. I literally froze because, like, even though, like, we're very close and I'm very close to my brother-in-law, I'm not, like, hop into the bed kind of close to anybody. Like, barely, I don't even hop into the same bed as my husband. Like, we have separate beds. So it's like, hi. But it was, like, so funny.
Yeah, it was so cute. So anyways, we're very close and I'm super grateful to have that with you. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I would do.
I also don't know what I would do, for real. Do you think our differences actually make us better for each other now?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, 1,000,000%. I think, you know, we've had, I was thinking about this recently. We've had similar experiences, similar negative experiences at different times in our lives, and we've approached it so differently. Like, I think in general, I handle things more quietly behind the scenes, and you tend to like air it all out and like, you know, use your instincts and your intuition in order to get like to come to some sort
That's
of
a really
conclusion.
nice way of putting it, but I'm impulsive, is what she's saying.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, you know,
If the shoe fits.
yeah. I'm not saying that. But it's really amazing that we do approach a similar situation so dramatically different, and I think that helps because then I can say, Julia, what do you think about this? Because we are coming from totally different places, and it's healthy and helpful to hear your perspective on how to approach a scenario that I would maybe attack in a different way. So I value your opinion and weighing in on your and the differences that we probably have.
I actually think you're so right because even just like based on our like clothing choice, I always used to say like I'm Target, you're Chanel. Like just the way we like, I want like color and create. It's funny because you used to be like sparkles and like all the things, and I used to be like all black everything. And I think like that shifted also. Like
Yeah,
just
totally.
like You're a little more pastels,
Yeah.
and I am a little more red.
Right. Totally. Totally.
And I
Yeah.
think that that also, it's the same way we approach like life and in general. And it's good to have Lauren as a sounding board because, and if you could all find yourself a Lauren, because she kind of reels me in a little when I'm like, I want to fly off the handle and like lose my mind a little. She's like, Julia, let's think about this pragmatically. Let's really figure out if this is going to work for you and what the outcome will be. And I'm like, who cares what the outcome is going to be? Like, I'm going to emotionally figure it all out because I'm just going to air it out to the world and everyone's going to see who I am. But I think that as I've gotten older, you've really rubbed off on me in that capacity. And people could probably see that online also, that what once was like the minute I felt something, I would say it out loud. Now I take a beat and I'm like, okay, is this necessary to share with the klal?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this something I always, you talk about like the balancing act. I always weigh like, is this going to help somebody else? Or am I just ranting
Mm-hmm.
because I'm angry?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think like you really taught me that. You're like, okay, what's the cost benefit analysis? And I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's very mature of you.
Look at me at 35 years old. It only took 35 years.
It only took 35 years. Really? That's so good.
I know.
We spend our whole lives like we're just a work in progress this whole time that we're down here. I mean, it's just we have to also give ourselves a little room to breathe and like acknowledge that we've grown.
Mm-hmm.
Hooray for growth.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to do that. It's not part of their practice. They just feel like they're cooked, you
Yeah.
know. But it's not our way. That's not the Jewish way.
No, it's not the Jewish way. And I think that that's the best part. Like we literally have it written into our Torah about not judging others
Mm-hmm.
and very few people in other like places and whatever like wow, look, it so aligns with our value system. Speaking of not being judgmental,
Mm-hmm.
how do you create respect for one another when we could be so different in every capacity? Because I think we've really maintained that level of respect, especially like, listen, your kids are teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's like different level of what their needs are and whatever it is. And Lauren will ask me my opinion on something. And what I would do for my kids is not the same what you would do for your kids because we have, even though our values align, they're different hashkafically and things like that. And I always feel like, at least for me, I respect what angle and view you're coming from. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to work for your kids. Here's what I would do. But I think for your kids, you need to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think we've managed to have that like respect, even though we're so different?
I think because you've really honed in on your profession and your craft. You have years now, like probably over a decade.
Yeah, 13 years.
13 years working and counseling other people. So, just as like Rabbanim, when they're asked shilas, they know the people who are asking those shilas and give an answer according to halacha and also in step with who is asking the shaila.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's tailor made. Similarly, that's how you work in your profession, so you can understand who your client is or who's asking the question and seeking advice and then tailor it to who they are and like their family. So that's very good. But I don't think that's a natural thing. It takes quite a while to refine. It might be a natural thing for some, but maybe not everyone. And it does take time. And I think the respect stems a lot from seeing you as a professional and all the help and good work that you're giving to others. Like that's one element, not the only one, but it's just so amazing. I feel so proud to see my younger sister so successful and like really fulfilled from her work and just thriving as a person. So
Nice.
I love that.
Thank you.
And I
That's
admire
really a
you
nice
and I deeply respect you.
Oh, that's really nice. And coming from you, that's like really the highest level of compliment because Lauren runs and started Montessori Beis Yaakov in Manhattan. And it's her pride and joy and baby. Like it's number 9 of her children for
Yes.
real. And she understands people in a way that no formal education could ever give to anybody. And I think that's also one of the things that I try to emulate because you're so good at that. Like you really are this like warm human being. Like it doesn't people are like, is that real? Is that really how she is? I'm like, yes, that's really how my sister is. It's like she's just this warm, fun, awesome person. And like people might feel like, oh, she's so serious because like she's the headmistress of a school. She's not so serious. Like, I mean, don't repeat that to the world. She is very serious.
Don't
She's
repeat
very
that
serious.
world.
But she's so fun and like the best sport and so kind and warm. And I don't think that is something you could teach to
Well,
people.
I think working with children requires that you have a lot of openness and love in your heart. You have to start with your heart when it comes to children. You can't like start with your mind. It
Yeah.
has to come from here. And the whole point in starting the school together with my husband was to reach children in a very meaningful way and so that they have a fulfilling experience day in, day out when they go to school, that they're learning a ton. That's for us, that's very important. And number two, that they feel seen and heard, and not just like their minds are being developed, but that their whole persona is being developed. And it requires a lot more energy in this capacity. If you were going to educate in a Montessori way, which we believe firmly as like the premier way to reach children, because you're not just like reading your curriculum and delivering it, okay? And then like leaving when your period is finished. It is not that way whatsoever. You have to really think so deeply about your each student while at home and, you know, prepare your lessons accordingly and, you know, diversify like what is being taught and like just see each student as a person.
Yeah, which is such a nice thing. I sent to like a mainstream school, so it's another difference between the two of us because it's completely different learning style, a completely different thing, and I see so much benefit from the kids that come out of your school and honestly, they're doing great. Like you're doing great work because I see the end results and I'm like, wow, I'm so impressed. Can I ask you, do you think that being family is enough to connect somebody? Or do you think that like there should be limits? Meaning like is familial relationship and love enough?
No, it is not enough. It is not enough. And just because you're family doesn't mean you have to be close. I think one shouldn't subject oneself
Yeah.
to, you know, toxicity or harm just because, and there's like an excuse because they're family. No, like if a person isn't quite whole or if a person is mistreating, you know, other family members, that doesn't mean that they should have like, you know, open season to like, you know, prey on family. Absolutely not. No. You have to really like work at all your relationships.
Yeah.
All your relationships, even if they're family, probably
Even more
especially
if they're family.
if
Yeah.
they're family, you have to work on them. But if it's not working, I think it's okay to say la vie. Like you don't need to subject yourself to any sort of abuse or like a weird dynamic that makes you feel uncomfortable or like takes over your thoughts and your life. Like why?
Well, that's the whole thing with like instilling appropriate boundaries. And I think that's one thing like you and I really align on is this idea that like you need to have boundaries in your life with everybody and not at like keeping people at an arm's length. Like
No.
we embrace people, but you need to know your limits and you need to know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And actually you taught me that. You really, really are so good about it. You're like, no, that doesn't work for me and that's that. And I'm like, how does she do that? And I really like I channel you sometimes when I'm like instilling boundaries. I'm like, okay, Lauren would say this. And
But I want to say, like, to that point, it's, yes, I know I've always been a very self aware person. Since the time I was born. Like since the time I can remember, I've always
Yeah.
known myself and know what I've needed, and I've been like communicative about it, but also in a very pleasant way. I try to be very pleasant and
Yes.
not in like because very type A people are often stereotyped as like,
Cold.
rigid, cold, and direct. And I hope that I do not come off that way whatsoever because I do think and appreciate warmth in others, and that's the way I want to be treated, and I want to give off warmth, and I love children, and I love people, and I think I'll give you an example. Like I try to give a lot of grace to others. Just before came here, I got a phone call from school about a parent who was coming into school and she wasn't anticipating to come in. So last minute, her child wasn't feeling well and she needed to come in. And the head teacher, had asked me, since we're having parent observations later for the children, would it be possible, like, should the mom like go home and change, or can she come as she is? And I was like, you know what, like, derech eretz kadma laTorah, like, we have to treat each person with respect and courtesy. And the fact that she even asked the question whether she should go home quickly before coming to school, like, she didn't have time. Her child was threw
Not
up.
feeling well.
Yeah, not feeling well. Threw up and needed a change, and she just like wasn't going to make it back and forth in time. So like, should she miss the parent observation? Certainly not. Like the fact that she asked and wanted to be respectful, was her heart in the right place? Absolutely. So I'm just saying, like, I think there needs to be more gray. In like just in life, there needs to be more gray. Life is not black and white. And even though I think naturally my brain goes, is it like black or is it white? Is it yes or is it no? In time, I've evolved as a person to understand that like life is more gray than it is any like black and white. Than there's any
And
black.
that, my friends, is why my sister is the best. For real. Like, no joke.
Just
You're
be nice.
Just be nice. Exactly. And like,
be nice.
it's the mantra I live by. Like, just be normal and nice.
And if someone keeps you waiting 10 minutes, don't get upset. And if someone like, it needs to reschedule, don't get upset. And you know what? Because guess what? You're going to have to reschedule at some point too. And you're going to have like unforeseen. Yeah, you're going to have an unforeseen circumstance and you're going to hope and pray that it's not going to like upset someone. Just be kind.
If we weren't sisters, do you think we'd be friends?
Definitely now. Maybe not like, in the early years.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the early years. I mean, maybe if we weren't sharing a room, I would feel
I actually don't
differently.
think we'd be friends. I don't think we'd like even be in the same circles.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna lie.
Those were really hard times.
They were hard years. They were hard years.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. They were hard.
So yeah.
Okay.
Like ask that question every like decade,
Yeah, exactly. And I actually think that like I'm glad we weren't so close then because it really showed me how lucky I am now to have you.
No.
Because it like really made me appreciate like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky I have this sister dynamic. And I'm a little sad for my own daughter who doesn't have a sister. Thank God she has like 800 girly cousins. But there's nothing like a sister relationship. There really is nothing like it. So I'm going to end with a little bit of rapid fire questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, she doesn't do rapid fire, but we'll see how that works.
Okay.
Who's more judgmental, you or me?
You.
Obviously. Who's more open-minded?
You.
Yeah. I don't know how it's like the same thing that I can be judgmental and more open-minded, but here we go.
I have an answer to that.
Okay.
I'm ruining rapid fire already. I think the fact that you're judgmental, okay, fine, like you size someone up quickly, and open-minded is more like you can hear another side to the story or like a perspective more
Easily.
Easily.
Who would last longer in the other person's lifestyle?
You would last much longer in my lifestyle.
Not a chance. She is running a full-fledged like Fortune 500 company in her household. Like there's 1,000 different people going 1,000 different directions and she's like managing it all. I would crumble under the pressure. Crumble. So
Okay.
Okay. Who do you think has a harder life?
You.
I actually think we're blessed.
Like you?
I actually think we're blessed that we're living a beautiful lifestyle, each of us, and like our life is good. And I'm grateful for everything that we have.
Yes. I mean,
But I don't think our life is so hard. I think that it's complex, but I think everyone's life is complex.
Yes.
Who gives better advice?
You.
Okay, that's fair. True.
You to all. Is it like all of the above? You?
Okay. And last one, what's one thing that most people online don't know about me or wouldn't know about me?
Okay. Um, I think that people don't know that you are a very sensitive soul. You're very sensitive. You come off pretty like strong and tough, but there's like a real person in there. There's a real person with feelings deep inside. So be kind.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive. I'm really empathetic,
Be gentle.
which actually lends itself to being like open to getting hurt often. And I am really sensitive. I'm shy and I'm sensitive, and it makes no sense because it's not who I am outwardly, but
Right.
it's not a fakeness. I'm not trying to like present as a different person than I truly am, but I do think that I I want I'm a cactus is what I like to call myself slash what I tell a lot of my clients is that you're prickly on the outside, but inside you're like like warm and full of water, and no one expects to be like mush inside, and that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I think that it's easy in this day and age with podcasts and social media where you're really talking, like it seems like you're talking to no one or to one person, but really then it's broadcast to like thousands of people
Yeah, millions of people.
or millions of people. Um, Whereas, in the olden days, when you would have to like be present at like say an event, a social event, and like hold a crowd of, 5 or 7 people standing around chatting, and like one person's doing the talking and holding the conversation, like that's a skill and that's a personality. And, I think people would like to think that those are the same personalities as like the podcast person. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the same person.
I've learned to like hone that skill. I actually think our mother is the like you and mommy are the queens of like working a room. And it's pretty impressive. And I have learned that like, okay, I am going to channel them and be extroverted in this moment, even though I'm like totally an introvert. And I have actually been challenging myself to like go over to random people. I did it this morning at your like where you live. I was like walking over to random people because I think that it's important to have that skill. So thank you for teaching me that. And thank you for being here because you are the best and I love you and I'm obsessed with the fact that I get to do this with you. So thank you.
I love you.
I
Thank
love
you.
you.
You're the best.
You're the
Be
best.
nice to her.
Please.
Do the likes.
Like, subscribe, and share is what my husband likes to say.
Right.